President-elect Donald Trump officially naming his former campaign manager, Kellyanne Conway, as his White House counselor. You've taken on a reputation as the grand master of communicating and spin for the Trump team. What will you do as counselor?
Well, the portfolio will be whatever the president wants it to be, but it is likely to include communications, and it is likely to include data and strategy. But the rest will be up to him. I'm just really pleased and frankly very humbled, Chris, to take on this role in the West Wing near the president and to be supportive of the senior team that he already has in place, colleagues of mine that I've worked together very closely with throughout the campaign and the transition. And I think it's incredibly important to be a cohesive team of counselors and advisors who very much believe in this man's agenda and know he's going to do many great things very quickly as president.
Well, let's talk about what he's going to do quickly. Let's put your messaging skills to the test. We saw what happened in Berlin. The president-elect says, "It proves that I am 100% right," he answered in the context of, "Are you still thinking about a ban?" According to James Woolsey, according to our intel experts, not only would a ban of Muslims in general, by region, by disposition, arguably be illegal, but they all say there is consensus that you would be giving the enemy what it wants, for this to be us versus them. Would you still consider a ban?
Well, he's talked about the ban, and he's made it much more circumscribed, even in the course of the campaign. So I would commend everybody to see what he's actually said about it and what's on his website in terms of how to defeat radical Islamic terrorism. What he says there, Chris, is very clear, that we need better vetting policies. There are countries, as you and I speak, that are training, harboring, and indeed exporting terrorists to places like Nice and Brussels, and now Berlin, Germany, and certainly Paris and the United States of America. In San Bernardino, and of course, the radicalized lone wolf terrorists in Orlando, killing 49 innocent people in May of this year. So people know here and abroad that terrorism is meant to feel like the, quote, new normal, but we don't need to accept that. The ISIS is led by the leaders we currently have.
You can screen based on what someone does. What I'm asking you is, are you comfortable screening based on what someone is? That their being a Muslim becomes a trigger for your policy. He's gone back and forth about it based on the level of criticism. What are you saying today?
Well, he hasn't gone back and forth. He doesn't go back and forth on anything based on criticism. I mean, if you're us, and certainly if you're him, you are impervious to naysayers and critics in terms of them changing policy. But he's talked about this. I mean, you're going back to over a year ago and what he said about the ban versus what he said later about it, when he made it much more specific and talked about countries where we know that they've got a higher propensity of training and exporting.
I got you. I'm asking the simple question of whether or not being a Muslim will be a trigger. That's my question. Simple.
No, it's not. No, it's not, Chris. And you're asking the same question different ways, and he has responded to this many different times, including in the debates. Will being a Muslim be a trigger? Will that count as something that you're going to look at in your policy? That in and of itself?
Yeah.
No. But however, let's also, I mean, I should say in addition, let's also address something that he had talked about very early on that also has become is clearly true, especially in countries like Germany now, which are facing a popular uprising against allowing an influx of refugees who aren't being vetted into the country. And we know that ISIS has threatened / promised to hide as Syrian refugees or otherwise. They've promised to do that. They've promised that they can do that they will just sort of blend in, I think were the words some of them used. I mean, we've got to start taking terrorism seriously. Why are we not? Why did Hillary Clinton refer to these terrorists as our, quote, determined enemies in her speech in accepting the nomination for president of her party, which ultimately was a failure? Why did she refer to them as our determined enemies when Donald Trump refers to them as radical Islamic Islamic terrorist who must be defeated and not contained
that's all,
and not mollified.
Right. The talk is great, strong talk. The question is, no question, it helped them in the campaign.
Strong talk.
Well, it is at this point, because I don't know what your policy is to end it quickly.
Well, go look at the website. Pull it up. I'll tell you what. You can hold me over the break.
There's nothing on that website that is distinguishable from what we're doing right now in a concrete way. I'm saying he's promising to end the war on ISIS quickly. What will you do that we're not doing now that will be so decidedly conclusive and quick?
In addition to what I've already said several times, which is just stronger, better vetting policies, not looking the other way when there's evidence of terrorism and wrongdoing. In addition, getting our allies more involved, and even those countries that aren't necessarily ones that we deal with on a regular basis, get them involved to help defeat ISIS. I mean, where is there's strength in numbers, and unfortunately, you see Germany now added to the list of European countries that have fallen victim to ISIS, to radical Islamic terrorism. And so hopefully we can get more cohesive and collaborative responses from some of our allies and from some countries that we don't normally deal with in defeating radical Islamic terrorism. They will retreat, they will be contained, they will be defeated, not just by talk, but by action. And Donald Trump is constantly criticized here and elsewhere as, oh my God, look, he doesn't even have the evidence yet, and he's saying that it's ISIS. He's been right every single time, and he's not saying it to be right. He's saying it to remind us that the world is a dangerous place, and anybody who accepts this as the quote new normal is just not, they're giving in. They're completely acceding to those who don't believe in freedom, don't believe in girls and women having rights, don't believe in democracy, and have made very clear that they're there to destroy Europe and America. I mean, why all the skepticism about somebody who won as president and commander-in-chief, in large part because he had a stronger message. He had a more decisive pro-America, anti-terrorist message.
Well, it sounds a lot like what we were hearing from the other side in terms of what you do to stop terror, but we've been fighting it for 15 years for a very simple reason, as you know, Kellyanne. It ain't easy. It's complex. We've tried a lot of different things, and the question is, what will we do differently now? We'll have to wait and see. Let me ask you about something else. This story that came out that there was a plan to auction off access to the president and the sons around the inauguration weekend until the Center for Public Integrity blew it up, and now it's going away. Were you aware of that solicitation of what was going on and the son's involvement?
Look, they're all going to do whatever they need to do under the law to comply with what's our major changes to their family and to their family's business, and certainly to their father's status as president of the United States. But I think we should go back and look at what Don Jr. and Eric have done and wanted to continue to do, which is raise money for charities. The Eric Trump Foundation is 10 years old. It has done enormously great work in many different corners.
It's the same thing the Clinton people said when they were defending their allegations of pay for play. They were selling off $1 million trip to hunt with the boys and hang out with the president. That sounds like paying for access.
I don't know how they're the same. How that's the same as Bill Clinton giving $1 million speech in Russia, and then Hillary Clinton, while Secretary of State, turning around and giving 20% of the U.S. uranium interest away. A little bit different.
It's paying money to get to power.
Sorry, very different than worrying about, quote, friends of William Jefferson Clinton getting the contracts after Haiti suffers a devastating hurricane in 2010. Very different than allowing foreign governments to come into the State Department like it's some concierge for money.
So paying $1 million to hang out with the president's okay?
I didn't say that. I'm answering.
I know you're not answering it. You're answering it by going after the Clintons. I'm saying, what's your answer?
You mentioned the Clinton Foundation. You said it was the same. I'm telling you, it is absolutely not the same.
I'm saying you're giving the same defense that they gave when you made the allegations about the Clintons. They said, we do lots of great work. We took these meetings. There's never been a direct connection between what she did at the state and what was going on at the foundation. You're now saying basically the same thing. Eric Trump does great work with his foundation, and paying a lot of money to hang out with the president is okay.
When you let me know that Eric Trump's foundation took $100 million or so from Saudi Arabia, which doesn't treat women and girls the way we treat women and girls here, then we'll talk. Until then, the idea of really equalizing these two, where they were going around the world and getting money from foreign countries that then would give rights to telecommunications, and you're
Right, so let's say that was worse.
in Haiti.
Let's say
That's
it's
not
close
the
to
same.
Christmas. I'll give you a gift. Let's say that's worse. That doesn't make this okay. And it is interesting that Eric Trump is backing away from it now. Don Jr. is backing away from it now. If it's all okay, why are they backing away?
Because they support their father, and they know that we'll never get a fair shake in the Trump administration, and that's unfortunate. I think this conversation shows that. To actually compare the two, the idea that these folks are trying to help people in need, and those people are going to suffer now because folks are pointing out what they think to be improprieties. I didn't say I necessarily agree. I just think that they will always do the right thing. I know them well. They will always do what they perceive to be the right thing, regardless of whether who has a comment about it and who doesn't have a comment about it. That shouldn't even come into play. What comes into play is legalities. Thank you. Merry Christmas.
To you as well. Allison.
President-elect Donald Trump's pick for ambassador to Israel has several controversial positions. We will discuss those with former U.S. Senator Joe Lieberman next.